Hello, everybody. Wow, there's some people way up there. Can you hear me, by the way? Yeah? Okay, cool. I've got like 2 microphones on, so I need to make sure they're both working. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk to everyone about this topic. I don't know about you guys, but it feels very relevant to me, especially almost sometimes even on days like this where there's so much amazing information. But sometimes it can also be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Before I get started, I would just love to know, feel free to raise your hand or just nod, but has anyone here ever thought, especially when it kind of comes to your career and your future, what's the point, right? Has anyone ever felt that way? Yeah, okay, I can see quite a few hands up. Which, I get it, right? You're basically at this stage where you're pretty much being told to plan your whole life, whilst at the same time, everything in the world seems to kind of almost keep changing. And sometimes that can feel a little bit confusing. So I'm basically going to talk about that. So I don't know if anyone feels this, but basically, as students, as young people, right now, you are actually growing up in one of the noisiest environments in history. And probably to you, it seems normal, but it's actually not normal. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about that. And I'll talk about what I mean by noisy in a second, but before I do, maybe let me just give a quick intro to who I am. I had a lovely bio, but I guess just to hear it from me. But yeah, obviously my name is Shoshanna. I run a company called Fairy Job Mother. I am an early careers expert and future of work expert. And basically what that actually means is I work with organisations, typically large organisations, and I basically look at their industries, I look at the world of work, and I almost help them map out what skills that they need coming into their business in order to be successful. So that means what roles should they hire for, what entry-level talent they're looking for. And usually that translates into things like apprenticeship programs and graduate schemes. So I almost help them build those out, but then when those, obviously, people join within those, I'm actually really focused on making sure the people within those schemes at those companies are successful, because school, uni, whatever, does a whole load of things. It teaches you, obviously, how to pass exams, but a lot of the time, it doesn't actually do that much in terms of when you start a job, what you do, how you navigate certain conversations and situations, stuff like that. So I basically work with companies to do that. And every day, I see a lot of this kind of noisiness in the work I do, essentially. So I see, obviously, maybe young people coming to a job interview and who are so nervous because there's so much information going around and they're so desperate to do well that they're almost just feeling so nervous and so anxious. I see people who have started work who super desperately want to do well and they're super motivated, but actually they just don't know how to get there due to all of this noise. So I see a lot of this noise, and I'll explain what I mean by noisiness in a second, show up every day in the work that I do. So let's talk a little bit about what I actually mean by that noise. So I think for many young people today, most of the time you're pretty much being told that there's not enough, right? You're maybe seeing headlines or hearing on social media about how crap the job market is, how certain industries are going away, how maybe you're probably never going to be able to buy a house, things like that. Or maybe you're hearing from siblings and family members and friends who are applying for hundreds and hundreds of jobs and they're just not getting anywhere, right? So let's be real, we're basically being told there's not enough. You're then also being told that where you're at isn't good enough, right? Pretty much, because you're seeing content every single day of things like a day in the life of an 18-year-old startup founder, or how I'm earning an £80,000 salary at 21, or how I built my first house at 20, right? Bought my first house at 20, right? And for some people, that stuff can be motivating, but also for lots of other people, it can do the complete opposite, right? Where seeing where these other people are at can feel so far away in comparison to where you're at. It can sometimes almost do the opposite in terms of, well, what's the point? Why should I even bother? You're also then being told things like, you need to decide your future now, right? You're being told that there's urgency. You're being told by maybe parents or guardians that, you have to put something together, or you have to pick something stable and quickly because you're running out of time. Maybe your teachers or career advisors are saying things like, you know, come on now, you really need to make a decision, you're finishing next year, or you need to make this decision by this time. Maybe social media is also saying things to you like, you need to be successful within the next year, you need to show that you're successful by the time you maybe finish school. And then finally, we have society who almost makes out like whatever you do end up picking is going to shape your whole life. Now, if we then mix that with, let's be real, a whole load of contradiction, right? So we're told things like, follow your passion. What does that even mean, by the way? Does anyone know what follow your passion means? Because I don't. We're told to follow your passion, but also make sure you pick a career in an industry that's going to be AI-proof. You're told to build a perfect CV, or you should write your CV this way, but then on the other hand, you're being told, CVs are dead, and no one's going to be using them in the next few years anyway. Or you're told things like, work hard and study hard, but look after your mental health. And then you're also told things like, go to university to be successful, but actually then also now that going to university isn't worth it. Or even we're maybe also told contradictory things like, or asked contradictory things like, why would you want to work for someone else when you can work for yourself? So, which are you supposed to listen to? Does anyone know? No, I can see a few head shaking. And I guess, what is all this noise actually doing to us? And I don't know if any of you will be able to relate to some of these feelings, but a lot of the time we don't realise, but because we're getting all this constant noise about what we should be doing and contradictions and how other people are doing, all it does is basically leave us stuck, right? It makes us feel confused, overwhelmed, anxious, we feel loads of pressure, we feel stressed, and then sometimes we do almost feel like, what's the point, right? And a lot of the time when we feel this way, we don't actually feel like we can take action. We feel like we're paralysed because we don't want to make the wrong decision because we're being told that we have to make a decision and stick to it. And then that means we sometimes end up not wanting to explore things, not wanting to try things, and often we kind of almost just sit and wait. I don't want to make a decision now, I'm just going to sit and wait and see what happens. You know, it will be fine in the end. So, I guess my question is, when the future feels uncertain, how do we actually take control? Or how can we actually take control when so much around us just feels confusing and uncertain? Well, my first tip, I guess, would be stop trying to control the future and stop worrying about the future. And I know that's easier said than done, but the truth is, things are going to happen with or without you. Like, things are going to happen whether you try to control them or not. Like, it's going to happen. So there's probably no point worrying about things like, you know, I want to do this industry, but AI might take it in 10 years' time. If it does, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And let's be real. I didn't listen to some of the other talks, but some of this may have been spoken about already. But, you know, the future of work and careers is uncertain. No one knows what is going to happen. Not teachers, not your parents, not people on social media, not even experts like me. Which I guess in a good way kind of means that maybe, well actually kind of means a lot of the bad things that we're hearing are actually only predictions, and there's no guarantee that any of them are going to happen. So with that said, if you can't control the future, what actually can you focus on instead of worrying? So you can focus on the things that you can control, right? So these 4 categories are things that I truly believe that are the main things that you can focus on and that no one can take away from you. The first one is mindset. So are you someone that believes things can work out for you, or do you believe that they won't? Because even that belief of not believing that things are going to work out for you, which means they're not. You're not going to put yourself forward for opportunities if you don't actually believe that things are going to work out for you, don't actually have that mindset. Skills. What can you actually do? What are you actually good at? In my opinion, skills are actually what create opportunities, not necessarily job titles, especially when it comes to the future. How do you show up? How you show up is within your control. So are you someone that tries? Are you someone that makes an effort? Are you someone that people can count on? Are you someone that says, if you're going to do something by a certain date, are you going to do it or are you going to not? And do people know you as that person or not? So you can definitely focus and control on how you can show up. And finally, your choices, right? So are you someone that puts yourself forward for opportunities, or are you someone that waits for opportunities to come to you? Are you someone that tries new things, or are you someone that doesn't? These 4 things are probably the only things that you can control in the world right now when it comes to your career. So I really want you to think about them. And I'm just wondering why this isn't moving on. 1 second. No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. You got it? Yeah. And these 4 things are honestly things that no algorithm, no trend, no headline, no job market, no industry collapsing can ever take away from you. So let's zoom into this in a bit more detail. So maybe a slightly potentially controversial take is, I personally don't think anyone in here needs to know what job they necessarily want to do right now for the rest of their lives, or commit to anything for the rest of their lives. But what I do know is you just need to follow what interests you right now, and it's never too late to change. And actually, hundreds of millions of people change. There are so many career changes. I know the next speaker we have after this, he's had a very interesting career. He started out in one industry, he's chopped and changed like a million times. So you're never stuck. You can always change. But what you can start to understand, or at least think about, is what you enjoy, what you're good at, and how you want to contribute, right? So the first one is skills. So what do you actually want to get better at? Do you want to get better at speaking in front of people? Do you want to get better at being organised? Do you want to get better at working with others? Do you want to get better at being on time? What type of problems do you like figuring out or solving? Do you like helping people understand things? Do you like fixing things that aren't working? Do you like coming up with ideas, or do you like solving real life problems? And finally, what type of a difference do you want to make, right? Do you want to help people? Do you want to make things easier for others? Do you want to create something new? Or do you want to be part of something meaningful? When you start thinking about these 3 categories in terms of a direction and not just a particular destination, that's going to really actually help you think. And no one can ever take these 3 things away from you. And actually, probably what you'll realise is the answers to these things and your answers to these things can translate into many different industries and many different job roles. So you're never actually tied to anything, but as long as you focus on these 3 things, you're always going to have some kind of direction in a way. So, when everything feels uncertain, this is how you can take back control. So following on from what I just went through, even just something really small of thinking about one skill you want to build. So what's one thing you want to get better at? Do you want to get better at speaking? Do you want to get better at confidence? Do you want to get better at organising? Do you want to get better at learning something new? I feel like my microphone's just gone off, has it? Oh, it's come back. One thing to explore. So what's something you're maybe curious about that you haven't tried? Is that a career idea? Is that a subject? Is that a hobby? Is that a course or a video? And then even just one small action that you can take. That could even be as simple as reaching out to someone after today, or going and completing a course or attending an event. So, before we leave and we finish, I don't know how I am for time, I want everyone to just take a minute to actually have a think about these 3 things for themselves. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask anyone. I just want to give everyone a pause to actually think about these 3 things. What is one skill you want to build? What is one thing you want to explore? And what is one action you can take this month? It doesn't have to be about marketing. It can just be about exploring and thinking about your future. And before I give that pause, I do just want to say, like, these aren't easy questions. They're not designed for you to have an answer in like 5 minutes, right? But what I am doing today is I'm planting that seed. I'm getting you to start thinking about it so that next week, next month, the next few months, the more things you do, it's always going to be at the back of your mind. And over time, you're going to have a bit more clarity on those 3 questions. So I'm just going to give everyone a minute to have a think. Okay, so I did say a minute. I know a minute goes very, very quickly. But the point is, I just want to plant these into your heads in terms of even going away from today, 3 things you can actually start thinking about, which are hopefully going to drown out all the noise. So I've got 2 minutes left, so that I personally love finishing on time. I'm going to go ahead and finish my session and finish with this statement. You have more control than you think. So even though there's a load of noise going on, even though there's a million different people telling you what your future should look like, what you should do, who you should be, you have more control than you think. And yes, the future is uncertain, but that doesn't mean everything is hopeless and everything is out of your hands. You can control what you learn, how you show up, and the next choices you make, because that's how people build opportunities, not by having everything figured out. So with that said, thank you very much for listening to my talk today. And yeah, if there are any questions, go for it. And if not, thank you so much for listening.